It's me. I'm the one out here putting the work in behind the scenes trying to save crypto while these devils, Sam Bankman-Fried, Brian Armstrong, they're trying to permanently ruin it. This is not about money for me. I hope you guys understand this. I'm here fighting for you. It's me.
Welcome back to another day in crypto here. As you can see, Barry Silbert has been found. He has spoken out with a letter to shareholders overnight. We're going to go through this and the current details coming from Grayscale, Genesis, and DCG, Digital Currency Group. If you enjoy the content, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. So crypto media channels are putting out some positive feelings here towards this. Digital Currency Group says no imminent threat despite owing Genesis 575 mil. So DCG taking out loans from their own loan book, Genesis lending. Let's scroll down and see some more facts here. So that $575 million loan is due to be repaid by May of 2023. So they're going to have to get their ducks in a row pretty quick to start paying that down. And this was structured on an arm's length basis and priced at prevailing market interest rates, says Barry. He expects the company to come out stronger from this crypto winter. However, DCG also owes Genesis $1.1 billion in the form of a promissory note due in 10 years' time, June 2032, and that is related to the default of Three Arrows Capital. Also being reported here by Watcher Guru, crypto firm Genesis previously lent $2.36 billion to bankrupt hedge fund 3AC. As Kobe chipped in, wonder if simply 1 year ago I could have asked Genesis for $1 billion and they would have given it to me. Potentially, Kobe, potentially. So Silbert has now said DCG is on track for $800 million in revenue in 2022. This is a dip of around 20%, roughly $1 billion in the previous year, and told shareholders we will let you know if we decide to do a financing round. So we know Digital Currency Group's Grayscale is a profitable entity. The $800 million worth of revenue probably comes majority from them. This is because Grayscale has a rather large management fee on GBTC, and as one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin within that trust, they are able to extract a large amount of profit from this. Barry concludes in his letter, let me be clear, DCG will continue to be a leading builder of the industry and we're committed to our long-term mission of accelerating the development of a better financial system. But we know that obviously in a pinch, they're trying to raise finances very quickly, 500 million or even $1 billion. But if we just do some quick maths, 1.1 billion plus 575 plus 350 is the region of $2 billion that DCG owes to various creditors. And this is why threads like HODL Kryptonites here are getting some serious traction. We'll do a quick TLDR on this one, but he says DCG and Genesis will go bankrupt. All information here from public sources.
This is the main event of the evening.
So first off, highlighting those three factors, 575, 1.1 billion, and 350 million. As a lender, in accounting rules, loans are assets and deposits are liabilities. Genesis, as a borrower lender, is mostly funded by small amount of equity and deposits. Post the fallout from 3AC and others, we can safely assume that the entire equity has been wiped out. And since Genesis was noted to have 2.8 billion of loans, we can assume there is a corresponding 2.8 billion of deposits to fund the balance sheet. So some napkin math on what the balance sheet of Genesis would look like right now. Assets, DCG loan 575 plus the 1.1 promissory note plus some real assets in here, making up roughly another $1 billion. And on the liabilities side, the creditors and deposits of Genesis, roughly $2.8 billion. But the $1.1 billion was a hole created by 3AC's default, presumably used to plug a hole in the balance sheet so Genesis could avoid becoming insolvent. So this is potentially a real-time look at the actual balance sheet in the scenario where DCG is unable to repay the loans. This means there will be a 1.67 billion shortfall here, leaving pretty much anyone who has deposits or creditors of Genesis likely to receive around 40 cents on the dollar.
Big man thing, yeah? It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
And due to the fact DCG took on a promissory note, Genesis creditors have recourse to find DCG for the money. And we know that their main assets are as follows. Their GBTC stake, they have 67 million GBTC, the value of the Grayscale business itself, and of course the Genesis lending book, probably worth zero. It looks unlikely that they have cash on hand. Barry states in a letter, they took out the loans to fund investment opportunities and to purchase DCG stock from non-employee shareholders. The likely investments that they picked up was probably more GBTC. As we can see, 67 million of those shares held. They do own GBTC shares they could sell on the stock market, but he attributes this to maybe at best a $300 million windfall, which is why they've gone cap in hand to the SEC for Reg M relief. Reg M relief is essentially them requesting for them to dissolve their own GBTC into actual BTC, i.e. liquidating those Bitcoin held on the public market. But this would be very bad optics for the SEC, allowing DCG to redeem theirs, but not for the investors to do so. This would seem very unfair and likely not to happen. So he sees this as a potential for a GBTC unwind to actually take place, i.e. the apocalyptic scenario.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
This would mean 633,000 Bitcoins potentially hitting the market. This then causes cascading liquidations, and the amount of actual dollars you're able to raise when you dump all that in the market at one go, this guy reckons around 12K would be an optimistic average price. This would fetch DCG Group around 750 mil in cash, but still a long ways off the 2 billion they need to raise. So this means that Genesis essentially will have to collapse and go bankrupt. And as we know, they've already brought in the bankruptcy lawyers. And as the institutional prime brokerage of the space, the collapse of Genesis would lead to more defaults and more contagion. Think BlockFi and others. The TLDR, there's no way DCG can raise enough capital to return 1.675 billion to Genesis. Worst case scenario would be both of these collapse, contagion, spreads. But this guy is looking at worst case scenario here, of course. The GBTC business carried out by Grayscale is highly profitable, so I do think a buyer would step in. But it does seem DCG will have to chop off their arm and let Genesis trading die. So Barry and co have stated, first and foremost, no material credit exposure to FTX. Then we lost 7 mil. Then, okay, we've actually lost 175 mil. Sorry, no loans or withdrawals. Okay, we need $1 billion. And then finally, if we don't get money, we're bankrupt. Then on a side tangent, we have, of course, a very awkward Thanksgiving tomorrow for our brothers out in the USA.
He's back!
I'm sure many aunts and uncles will be asking what exactly happened to the crypto coins and centralized entities.
Well, the question, did that happen, begs the question, what do you mean by happen? Because when you are dealing with fundamental realities and you pose a question, you have to understand that the reality of the concepts of your question.
Then CZ has been stoking the fires as well. This was the deleted tweet that you may have seen going around or not. So Coinbase custody holds 635,000 BTC for Grayscale, according to Yahoo Finance. 4 months ago, Coinbase, I assume the exchange, has less than 600,000 Bitcoins. Just stating the news reports, not making any claims. Glassnode probably has more up-to-date data. Brian Armstrong clapped back. If you see FUD out there, remember our financials are public, and so this is their public reporting of their financials. They hold over 2 million Bitcoins, around $40 billion worth as of the 30th of September, according to their 10Q report. And he stated, we all need to come together to build this industry in a responsible way going forward. Coinbase then sent this out showing that everything was secure for Grayscale, but essentially this is just a Microsoft Word doc, so we'll have to take their word for it. They just state that Coinbase custody does not commingle any funds and that all Grayscale digital assets can be confirmed on-chain. So they did their own on-chain validation, and as of the 30th of September 2022, those figures that Brian tweeted out were correct. So we kind of get a little bit of a glimpse at GBTC, but this is our view of their reserves. As a result of all of this debacle, we've seen GBTC sell off significantly versus NAV. This is the net asset value, so the difference between actual Bitcoin and GBTC, currently trading at a discount of 42%. So this is where some contrarians have entered the market, think Cathie Wood and others, to try and buy up some GBTC, because you're almost getting a 2-for-1 exchange here, but taking that long punt that eventually there is either an ETF or some filing that allows you to actually get the actual Bitcoins out. So has Barry's letter done enough to hold off your fears, or do you think there's a lot more smoke and maybe some more fires to come and potential capitulation? Drop me a comment down below. Make sure you check out GMX. I'll see you in the next one, guys, and I'll leave you with this outro.
Everybody, Richard Art here, and my $3,000 Valentino Rockstud purse, my $3,000 Prada jacket, $2,000 Prada shirt, $2,000 or $3,000 Prada pants, Prada glasses, Prada hat, Prada bracelet, and it's all Prada, 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 Prada shirt, Prada hat, Prada glasses, Prada pants, and it's all nylon. So the haters' tears off. Prada shirt, Prada hat, Prada glasses, Prada pants. And it's all nylon, so the haters' tears fall right off.